Welcome, everybody. It's 3 o'clock, and we are excited about this Prospect Live. Uh, we have typically done these in the morning, about 11 o'clock, but due to our guest being in Australia, who's done an amazing job of getting up and in his office, I think he said it was about 6:30 in the morning there. So we really appreciate Rodney and all the time that he's given us for this Prospect Live and prepping us about everything his project is about to do for community in the United States. Um, Kind of just some of the agenda day. We always do a quick Meet GSLI to give you a baseline of who we are and how we can connect with you and help you connect with projects like Rodney's. We do a quick project overview, give you a high level look at what Project Big Print is all about. Then we're going to meet the prospect. We're going to bring Rodney on and we'll do a Q&A. We've had some great questions that have already been sent in to us, and we'll go through those, and hopefully those will warm you up. And if you have any questions, this session, this Prospect Live is for you, the communities, to be able to present and be able to find out if it's a good match. Our whole goal is to have Rodney receive great RFIs through this process and to be able to learn about some of the things communities can offer and have to offer if there's a good match. It also allows communities to say, hey, this isn't a good match for our community, but we love the project, but it would not be a successful project in our community and really not waste their time on making an RFI and just wondering, should have they? So that's our goal, is to answer all of your questions today. If you have questions down below, there is a question button that you'll click, and that's where you'll feed your questions. Those go in queue, and if we need to answer those while we're doing our presentation, we will, or we'll reserve those to the Q&A section. You might ask if you should be here. We have a lot of different people here today. We have our GSLI Elite City clients. See a lot of them here. Always enjoy working with them and fully understanding what their cities can offer. We have trial communities, some communities that are looking to become a part of the GSLI network, that are kind of observing and really want to learn about this project also. We also have several corporate site locators. They are representing some of the buildings that we've targeted throughout the United States. So they are listening, trying to get a good understanding of the project for their individual buildings. And then we have some observing committees, just really want to understand what makes projects tick. What are they thinking about in the relocation process so they can apply that to some of the companies they're working and be able to be better presenters and hopefully win more projects. Housekeeping items, you should already be on mute. We would hear you if you're not. If you accidentally come off mute, we'll let you know. And we don't need a lot of background noise. We have a ton of communities in here today. We really appreciate all of you. And if you do have a question or you want to go live and ask a question, you have the ability to raise your hand. There's a little button down at the bottom that you can click. It'll alert and put you at the top of the queue. I can open up your mic. You can ask a question. Uh, Please ask all questions in the Q&A section. There is a Q&A, and if you don't see it, click more, and you'll see questions and answers. And they'll be able to go into the queue section for us to answer. We'll go over the format we'd like you to do. Just to give you a brief, we'd like you to put your name. If your name is not listed, put the community that you're representing and then your question. That way we know how to answer the question to the best of your ability, since you're the individual community asking. Reminder, we are recording and transcribing this, so after this, you'll get a link. We'll post this up on our thing, and if you need to review that or review it with your team to complete your RFI in our portal, then that'll help you tremendously in that process. Just a quick synopsis about us. I founded GSLI 30 years ago. We just celebrated our 30th year. And we are all about helping companies expand or relocate. Our minimum criteria is at least 10 jobs. If they create 10 jobs, then we will agree to assist them and help them in their site location process. Exclusivity, we do have a network of communities around the nation. We limit that to 5 communities per state. And they all have unlimited submissions to our projects. And through that, we also get submissions from observing communities or other communities, which they can submit on one project per year. Over the years, we've been really busy. We've got 2,700 projects to date that we've worked. 127.8 million square foot of space those projects have taken up, 9.7 billion of investment, and 63,750 jobs so far and counting. You'll find all of these projects in our portal. It's at www.gsliprojectportal.com. If you ever need to go there and take a look at our projects, feel free to do that. You can create a free account. And if you want to be able to submit on projects, you'll either use your free submission that you have, or if you're a member, obviously unlimited submissions. Make sure to put those in your pipeline, and that'll track the submission for you and for us to let you know that to let us know that you have a high degree of interest in that particular project. That is where we will go to make all submissions for Rodney also, in which we'll gather on the deadline and present those to him. We do a tremendous amount of content. We do jam sessions every second and fourth Tuesday at 11 o'clock. Feel free to join us. We talk about AI training. We talk about the portal, how to use it. We talk about projects that we just identified at trade shows. We cram a lot in 30 minutes, but we really enjoy doing those. We do these prospect lives, which are one of my favorite and some of our prospects' favorite, because they get to meet so many communities in such a short period. And we do master series where we'll come on and do a deep training on particular projects or subjects, and help you guys get a better understanding of how to accomplish things that will make you more effective in your jobs. So I want to talk about the project. Rodney, to say the least, has been amazing. He's been a wealth of information. He's been a wealth of entertainment. He's given us some really great tidbits of how his company was started. We met him through our corporate site locator who works on our team and sits on my board, Tom. And Tom's been working with Rodney for a while, and we are now helping Rodney in the site selection process, and we're helping him identify incentives and identify how those align with the different areas, because we're finding these areas are varying a lot. And I always present incentives as a way to help them get through their startup phase, especially if they're moving from Australia. It can take 6 months. It could take 9 months before they get their operations dialed in, before they get their account set up. And so any of those incentives I try to help them achieve or get, just so that they can have a successful startup and be successful. Before we watch I've put together a video. Rodney spent some time shooting some videos at his facility in Australia. So I wanted you to watch this video just to get an idea of what their operations look like and what they do. So that'll give you an idea. They print banners, signs, they do truck wraps, they do car wraps. We'll go through some of their clients as we get into the questions, but big clients, Red Bull, Nickelodeon, FIFA World Cup, those types of clients that need huge banners. And they've already been contacted by people here in the US. So they are already getting their business in order in terms of having the business to produce once they get here. Their project, they're looking for 100,000 square feet. They have a 3 month time frame, and that 3 month is when they want to have their decision. They want to have the keys to the building so that they can get their equipment that they'll order in, produce the facility, and uh, I'll let Rodney go into the details, but would love to be operational before the end of the year. So we are on a fast track and we need a lot of information quick. And therefore, this Prospect Live is going to help us get that information quickly. Their jobs that they're going to create is 40 on year one, 180 by year seven, so progressively growing and aggressively growing also in their equipment. So they'll start off with these massive machines that they use to print. And to give you an idea, those printers that they're running, and you'll have to correct me, Rodney, later if I'm wrong, but I believe it was th almost 3 miles of printing per day that they put out. And so they are busy, and the growth that they're projecting um, is really a nice progressive growth for a community. They would prefer a lease to buy, and they're looking for leases, so they're pretty open. If they can straight out purchase it, they might be open to that. But I feel in our conversations, probably a lease or lease to buy is going to be their best option for their success. And they're taking a look at the Southwest and more central. Rodney will go into this a little more, and it'll kind of open your eyes to what drives a prospect. And I've got some additional questions to that. But originally, he came to us, and he's really focused on Texas and was looking at Kentucky because of some agreements and people that he has in place there, and has really said, I want to keep an open mind about this process because I am in Australia. I want to know what's available. And if you present the right opportunities and there's the right fit, we want to hear about it and be able to put it in front of Rodney. This is his site selection timeline. Actually began working with him prior to November, but really engaged and started to get active from a site selection standpoint. Using March and April, we defined had a couple of Zoom calls, met with him, really defined, got the intake forms, found out his information. May, we're really going to use to get these RFIs in and evaluate the incentive packages as they relate to each of the RFIs and put together a short list. Typically, we will meet with that short list in a more refined Zoom call, and then we'll go and take the necessary visits to tour and meet the economic development professionals in the cities, tour the buildings, and find out where they're going to be most successful. They want to be able to make their location decision announcement in June. So this is a quick win. This is going to be a quick win for a community and one that I appreciate. We've had some that can take up to 2 years, and we love them just as much. But when we can help and really dig in and use our technology to help them make a decision quickly, we really appreciate that. And as I said, Q4, um, uh, well, Q4 be able to have, I'm going to have to define that if it's Q4 of 25 or 26, that they'll have everything fully operational and going. I've outlined some of the areas of interest around the United States that really focus. I put some maps on here of international airports that would give access times for him to be able to come in and visit, or his people from Australia to also be have access into the market. So this is just a suggested short list of areas that we're considering and really focused on. Doesn't mean if you're not in this, don't submit, because we don't know it all. You might have the exact thing that's going to help him out. So we would love to get your submission. Utility costs are a big part of their profitability. So we did a heat map of utility costs around the nation too, that we can overlay with his other operational costs to really help him locate the smartest decision. We did an impact analysis on the project itself. I have a full-blown economic impact analysis, which is 18 pages, that we're going to make offer, and we'll send it to you. I don't want to go through that because our time here is supposed to be with Rodney and get his questions and your questions answered. But all in all, a $62 million trickle-down economic impact of the businesses that they'll affect with their project and bring to the community. The taxable benefits of the project are estimated to be about $26 million and some change. To service those taxes and thing would cost a community about 19 million, almost $20 million, and which brings a net value of tax incentives, tax benefits to that community of just over $6 million. But we kind of go through that in that presentation, and we want to make that available. So if you want to adjust some of those numbers, or if you need us to help you develop what that benefit would be to your community, we would be more than glad to do that. This is the investment and impact prospectus. Like I said, it's 18 pages. If you could, Cresta, go ahead and throw it up so that all you have to do, we try to make it easy here. If you answer yes, we'll have your email. We'll immediately after this email you the prospectus for you to review and to consider. And if you don't know it, no problem. You can always come back and ask us. We'll leave that up there for about 1 more minute to make sure everybody gets a opportunity. All right, I'll give a quick countdown so everybody knows. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you. So now's our time, Rodney. If you want, I'm going to kind of explain the thing that we're going to do here. We're going to bring Rodney on. We're going to have a Q&A session. Like I said, we have 10 questions. Use your Q&A box. I see some questions already flowing in there. Please provide your name and location when you're typing out your question so that we know what part of the country we're talking to. And we'll go from there. But Rodney, welcome. Man, it's exciting. It's early there, huh?
Yeah, g'day. It sure is. It's 7:15 in the morning tomorrow.
Thank you so much, because you've been on here a half hour when we're doing sound checks and going through things. So it was a really early morning for you. But I think that's a testament to how important you think your project is and how excited you are about your project locating here in the U.S. And we're equally excited to be helping you in that. But why don't you just start off and talk a little bit? Typically, we keep your name under code, but we feel like the name of your company stands for itself, and we're excited to be working with you. Tell us a little bit about Insane.
Well, we've been doing this kind of work now for probably, now since 2007. We're a grand format printer. Needless to say that we don't do offset printing, which is your docker books, your business cards, that kind of printing where there are messy plates and fancy chemicals. We don't do any of that kind of work. All our stuff is just like your desktop printer. It's inkjet. The printer never touches, the print heads never touch the media itself. So we're firing ink at this, printing it, curing it, and then sending it straight off to finishing it and out the door. So your desktop printer sits on your desk my desktop printer is the size of a train car. We print 17 feet wide, 5 meters wide by any length. So, and we're doing the construction site fence fabrics you see on temporary fencings, and we're doing up to 4 to 5 miles of that a day, as well as all your stage backdrops for all the music events, Cirque du Soleil. We did the largest, biggest job we've done in the last 3 years would be FIFA Women's World Cup. So everything for FIFA came through here. There were truckloads of banners and signs and call flutes, and so we're big in music industries over here. So yeah, it's a sizable run. I've just had somebody walk in our front door, so I'm pretending that I'm not here at 7:30 in the morning. There's staff here. We run 76 hours of production a week. So some staff are here at 6 a.m. So the staff already here down, and I'm looking at cameras on a big wall, and I see them all off producing. The last staff leave here at midnight, and we do that 4.5 days a week. All the staff do a 4.5 day week, so they do a 38-hour week. But yeah, it's a big sausage factory, and now we've got a very large customer in Kentucky who has turned around and said we'd like to maybe up the game. So now we're now in the position where we're looking at a building that's 50 to 100,000 square feet to now a building that might be as much as 250,000 square feet, and that's a big number for us. I'm in a much smaller facility here, which we've outgrown. So we're now trying to go up, and that's just a tough animal to deal with while you're still producing. So we wish we'd bought a bigger building now. So yeah,
Yeah,
so
and the really cool thing I found, I mean, when you started this company, weren't you just kind of like a little sticker company printing stickers and
yes. We we took it from a company, from a retiring couple who bought it and didn't realize what they had done. So then they quickly tried to offload it, and so we picked it up. I was in America at the time, and because I have a US passport, I came to America as the touring tennis pro, hit New York, and one thing led to another. Visas became green cards. Green card, after X number of years, you're allowed to walk in and pledge the allegiance and get your passport. So I now have a US passport. So we started, our most advanced piece of equipment was a 4-year-old fax machine. So we had no printing equipment. So then I said, we either step up or we step back. And now we have the largest equipment, and the only two of them side by side in the Southern Hemisphere. And now we want to bring that to the US. I'm going, okay, I have a passport, and here on Mr. Trump wants me to manufacture there as opposed to here. So that's what we're going to do. So here we
awesome.
come.
Yeah, and those the two machines that they bought, he's referring to it's a Durst printer,
Durst, yes,
and they were
yes,
back then they were like $1.8 million, and he was the only first company in the world to do two of them. And so believing in your growth, and I've seen the projections of 10 machines
yes,
over the years of growing into
yes,
that. So that's one thing I really like about when I look at projects. I don't like when they come in and just really overthink it and they want to grow in their facility. And I've gotten that from you in terms of let's come in, let's hire the right people. You put a big focus on your employees and what you pay them. And that really sets the precedent for growth. And I think that's one of the keys that Rodney's looking for is really uh, talk to him about the workforce and what quality of workforce. He's talked to us about embedding one of his customers. And I don't want to give away all your secret sauce, but they came back and said, we want to require you to give 10% back to the community of whatever we pay for. And so some really good um, uh, community-wide benefits that I see your project will do also. So let's real quick, let's first, I'm probably going to skip over to these questions because we're getting some really good questions, or I've got some in here. But let's first start with what is your key motivation for the expansion? You just threw out Trump and doing stuff in the US, but what's really driven you to take a look and say, let's move to the
Well,
US?
it's the size. The size and scope of the signage industry in Australia is $4 billion a year. The scope of the amount of signage bought in the US is $106 billion a year. And I go, look, we do what we do well. We're the leader in our field, in our small niche of that signage field. Why not do it in a place where I love to be? We came back here because of aging family, and that's almost winding up. Sorry to say. So now we go. I want to go back to the States. So we're now just we're doing what we do well and want to bring it to the US.
Perfect. And I think the second question is going to dovetail into Nicole's question she's posted. But talk to me about maybe if you had to say, these are my top three must-haves in a facility and a location that really excites you, what would those be?
Must-haves. Okay, I've made a quick list here, a few dot points. So let me just look over here to my left here a bit. I need these machines are very heavy, so I need a concrete floor. As strange as that sounds, can't be asphalt. I'll need to invent a climate controlled print room out of that freezer panel stuff. I'd like to have 4,000 square feet of office space, if not more. I need easy truck access. I need to be able to drive into the facility. These machines come on wheels and I need to wheel them in. I need 2,000 amps of three-phase power year one. I'd like to go to 3,000 amps of three-phase power in year two. And reliable and affordable waste disposal, cardboard recycling. Other than that, square footage with access to reliable staff.
Yeah,
I think
that's the thing. That's the thing I've really tapped into you in terms of the staffing, and that's what Nicole has asked. Are you seeking to hire both blue collar and white collar professionals? Kind of what do you anticipate as the hourly
okay.
wages?
I'm looking at a general manager for 150K. I'm looking at a bookkeeper at about 80 to 85K. I'm putting on 2 graphic artists to start with at 85K. I'm looking at salespeople at 85K, and between 3 to 20 production floor people at 65K. And all of those are all come with incentives based on how much we can get out the door.
Perfect. Um, so in terms of that, we've got good employees. What about logistic needs? What type of logistics do you need? Do you need rail? Do you need port? Do you need
Well,
airport?
I don't understand rail because that's just not an option here. So I don't understand how rail works. I have seen a few facilities that Tom has sent through that have rail facilities, and I don't quite understand that. I've got to get my head around how that would work. That could be great. I will be getting 40-foot containers coming out of China. They're going to go to LA and they'll be, I guess, railed or trucked through to wherever. Um, as well as I'll be also getting plywood out of Canada. So it's got to come down, I'm assuming, in 40-foot containers. Truck, rail, I'm still trying to figure that one out. I need to be near, I'm thinking the largest company for freight, once we produce a job to ship it to a customer, would be UPS. But so I'd like to be near a UPS hub so I can get stuff, so that's why I'm thinking central to the country so I can get stuff to the East Coast or the West Coast overnight if I needed to.
Perfect. Okay. And that kind of goes into we have an anonymous question, and our next question is any states or regions that have really, caught your interest. I always call them initial areas of interest. We talk to a company, they say this is where we're interested, and then we find out what are some more things that can go into that decision. But anything that's tipping you to any particular regions right now in the United States and why. And you can be as simple as you've been with us on some of those
Okay,
reasons.
that's okay. So I'm looking at warm weather, having lived in New York and having to shovel out snow, trying to avoid that as much as possible. So I'm looking at warm weather. So I was thinking along the lines of a Texas through to Kentucky because there is a large client there. So warm weather, because I have these big printers and big printers don't like cold weather. Ink becomes too thick. You can't print it. Don't like super hot weather. Ink becomes too thin. So climate control inside the building for where the printers are is a key thing. But the building could be in a warmer climate because a lot of the finishing is done out in the factory. So I'd be having factory workers, and I don't want factory workers, in freezing cold. Just to heat that is just, an additional expense.
Perfect. Um, Bruce, if you could, why don't you go ahead and raise your hand? I'd like to bring you on live because that's a question that I've toyed with and been asked in the back of my mind. I'll try to bring you on live here. Bruce, if you'll unmute your mic. Bruce is from Gallup, New Mexico.
Unmute. Okay. Am I on?
Yeah, you're perfect.
Okay, great.
Hey, Bruce.
Hey, good afternoon, all the way to Australia. Wow. So the question, if I understood you, Eric, was on the climate control piece.
Well, I was really thinking about the one about the joint venture or an acquisition.
Okay. Yep. Um, yeah, it's a little bit well, I want to say close to home because my son actually works for an outfit in New Mexico that does exactly what you guys do, not on the scale that you do, but they provide all of the banners and posters and stage backdrops for most of the music festivals in the United States. So my immediate thought was, I think that they have 100,000 square foot building. Would you consider talking to them about a potential joint venture to share that? And that particular company isn't here in Gallup. We have a lot of assets here in Gallup that it might make sense down the road to look at an expansion here. But I immediately thought of this. I say, well, this is exactly what my son's doing. So let me see if I can put you in touch with that company and if there's any interest in looking at that.
They're certainly not saying no to anything. Would like to, could certainly explore it for sure. Why not?
Yeah, that's that. I mean, because the reason I thought that's interesting, that's how you really you bought out a company to get it started. So I was like, yeah, that might be a good fit. But yeah, if anything, it'd be a good contact.
Yeah, and you've got a number of graphic designers there.
Absolutely. All right, Bruce, thanks for the
Yeah.
question.
Thank you.
All right. We've got Rick. Rick Carrera, he's from Rio South, Texas region, and is asking any particular needs of the building that have not been discussed or disclosed yet, in terms of, is there any particular needs on ceiling height or column width, things like that?
No, ceiling height, no. Column width, um, no. Roll in, some of these buildings I've seen have, you know, a dozen loading docks, which we would never need as many. I'm just thinking, no, we're going to have to build a print room inside the facility. Other than that, I think that's, I don't know whether you can only use electric for AC. I
And
remember back,
you don't have any vertical storage needs, or you don't,
no,
nothing prints vertically.
there'll be pallet racking, forklifts. So that's a standard thing. No, there's no other than power. No, I think that's everything. Yeah, I'm sorry to say we're pretty boring, really. We don't need special anything, really.
So it could be an older building also.
Yeah, one of the first things we'll do is we'd probably go in and clean the whole thing down, literally scrub it from one end to the other. Normally we go in and epoxy all the floors because we need, everything we're dealing with arrives in our facility white, and everything has to be printed. So can get dirty very easily. So as soon as anything touches the floor, it's in the bin. So we've got to keep, I've got to send it out, in as new condition. So I've got to keep it as clean. So floors are normally the first thing we do, or all epoxy, so it's clean. Paint the walls. Dust is my biggest enemy.
Yeah, I can imagine. Since we were talking a little bit about location and opportunities for you to consider. We've got this anonymous attendee that's asking, uh, on an interest of the Midwest, close to Chicago Metro, but distant enough to avoid congestion and the higher cost of doing business, but close enough to the Great Lakes, North America manufacturing hub, fourth largest economy in the world. Um, is is that getting too far out there? Is that still a viable location? Obviously,
It's a possibility. It's not one I thought of, but it's a possibility. I guess we'd have to see what the offer is. I guess I've
yeah,
thought of further south being warmer, but I'd say nothing's off the table. Let's see what can come of it.
yeah, Rodney, that's a question I've had, and pardon me for not asking earlier. This will be a second facility or another facility. Where will you spend most of your time? Will it be at the new facility in the U.S., or will it be going back and forth? How do you
It'll
find
be
yourself?
for the first 3 months. I'd be there, living on site or living, at site or near site to get it up and going. And then once it gets going, I want to spend probably 2 to 3 weeks of every month in the US and about a week in Australia.
Okay, so year round.
Yeah.
So okay,
Yep.
all right. And so
That's going to be an awful lot of flying. That's an awful lot of downtime sitting on a plane. So I want to get some really good key people on board in the States to make sure this thing runs smoothly, and be able to, because I have that here, I want to be able to float between the two, um, without the nervous worry that will Humpty Dumpty fall over and I've got to try to put it back together again.
yeah, absolutely. And just reading between the lines there, with that much travel, I would think in a submission that you guys make, put in your cover letter, you know, the ease of getting to and from an airport. Because I do a lot of traveling, and the easier that access is, if I'm doing that kind of travel, I want to make sure I can get to and from my airport quick and easy also. So that would be, I would
And
say, a plus.
I have noticed there are different levels or different categories of buildings, and I don't understand what those categories mean. So I'd hate to get there and go, well, you have to make application for this, and you have to make application, you know, for all these things. And that could be a problem. I'm assuming I can grab keys and we just start building a print room and get ready to start to house equipment. You know, it's a very clean, it's a very clean setup that we'll be putting in. Mostly because that's what we're used to here. Over here, you know, our ink comes in a box, and that box, inside that box, there's a bladder. And we put that box with the bladder on the printer, and it sends a needle into the bladder and siphons it all out. So we never touch any ink. You know, so no human touches the ink. So the ink just goes straight into the printer, and so there's no waste. So it's very clean. Nothing goes down the drain. There can't be any ink goes down the drain. Over here, where Australia is very strict in that the local communities put in sensors in the drains. And anyone, you know, anyone who was caught putting any chemicals down the drain, you know, fines start at $2 million. So, you know, we're used to that. That's just the way it runs. You know, I would have probably 3 to 4 gallons of waste ink a year. So that's, I don't have tons of waste. We're messy. We don't have that. It doesn't run like that.
Perfect.
So, you know, a facility and its, you know, ability for us to just come in and go, there it is, here are the keys. How soon can you start producing? That's what I'd love to know.
Yeah, and I think the need of that to kind of go into that. You've been contacted by some really major companies and really have business ready to go once you
Yes.
get operational. And that's what I think the key also to some of these incentives, if the city makes those available. You said how long does it take for you to become really fully operational and get your contracts in order and become profitable?
Well, for us, that's a little over 6 months. We're profitable at 6 months.
Good.
You know, probably might be 7. So I need to get through 6 to 9 months, and then we go. Right now, we're hitting home runs.
Perfect. Susan Smith, she asks, I'm going to put it in what she basically says, does it need to be a UPS hub? Are you married to UPS or would you consider
No,
DHL, FedEx?
I just know when I was living there prior to 2007, UPS was big. Um, a hub that I can use for reliable freight, for overnight freight. If you know, some of them over here offer it. Your FedEx offers it here. There are some other companies over here that do not offer overnight freight. So an overnight freight company is key. Who it is really doesn't matter.
And if I recall right, it also helps if you have some proximity. Could you get a later drop off
Yeah,
for your delivery?
yeah.
It allows you to
Yeah.
sell more, deliver faster,
Yep.
those types of things. All right,
Yeah,
just a
but
couple.
you would figure that out with a freight company,
Okay.
hopefully.
couple more questions and then we'll wrap this up. When you travel, this is from another anonymous attendee. When you travel back to Australia, do you expect direct flights or do you expect to have a transfer, or would that be a deal breaker in your determination of a location?
Nah, it doesn't matter. Used to it. You know, we're in Australia. We're a long way from you guys. So, you know, I'm 6'5", so I like the idea of stretching these legs out, and there's not too much room in a plane for me. So I don't care if there's a stop somewhere. That's fine. Used to
Okay.
that.
Okay, great. Let's skip down. In our packet. Most everybody ordered one of those packets. We'll send it to you. We've got all the electrical needs. Um, Already discussed, there's no exceptional water needs, no runoff of chemical waters or anything that the facility will produce. Any gas requirements? Because I know you have to get the product up to 600 degrees.
That's electric.
Okay.
They are electric hot air welders. It's like a hair dryer on steroids. Um, but heating and cooling, that could be gas for the print room, for the offices. Depends on how the building's set up.
Okay, perfect. Got a question from one of our great members in Texas, Fairfield, Texas, David Fowler. Um, he's asking, well, he's kind of being considerate. He says, I know you're in a hurry, but would you consider a build to suit if the timing was right?
If the timing was right, yeah. Why? Yeah, for sure, for sure.
And I can
So
add a little.
we've done some, I've done a lot of drawings here, and go in a perfect world, I'd like it to be this shape. This would be great. And then I look at some of these things that Tom sent through and I go, oh, gee, that doesn't really fit. It'd be better if it was this. So, built to suit would be fantastic. Time, time could be tight, but not out of the realm for sure.
Yeah, and I would also add if there's probably a facility that might be in construction and due to be done, by September and have the ability to work with the plans and things that might open up one of those possibilities for a
Yeah.
community. Um, let's go to the last question that I have. If anybody else has questions, please throw them in there because we are running out of time. What would be tipping points? Like if you were to sit there and think about it, um, what would you say is going to be like one of the things that might be a good tipping point to say, I'll do this community over another community?
Well, I've just written down three things: ease of transition, setup, and potential incentives. I don't really have, a building's a building, depends on where it is, how it is. We've looked at all of those items. So I don't have, a warmer location. I don't know. I'm an Aussie. I'm used to warm, hot weather. You know, I'm a bit of a fish out of water if we said let's move to Alaska. But yeah, warm-ish would be nice. I'm thinking of the staff that I'm going to be putting out on the production floor. You're going to be in a warehouse working, and it won't be air conditioned for most of it. Where the printers are, yes. So I, I'm looking at the staff here, and I go, uh, I've got to take care of them. They're my best asset. I don't want them out there going, it's only 4 degrees Celsius. How can I do this? No, that's not fair. I've got
Absolutely.
to, I've got to do the right, I've got to do right by them.
Yep. And that's what I'd suggest. In that cover letter, address those must-haves. Put in your cover letters here, based on your needs and what you're looking for. You have the opportunity to hear those from Rodney now, so really address those in the cover letter. To me, a lot of these communities have employment training benefits that they can talk with you about. Um, you know, there's talk to me about warehousing, like inventory. Do you have a lot of inventory? Because that is some advantages some communities have.
We need to have a fair bit of inventory on site. Because people do make some sizable requests and they expect it yesterday. I can't go, well, let me now hunt down some of that product, get that in. It should have gone out in 2 days' time. For us, it's a 3 to 4 day turnaround for anything you order. So I have customers who go, I will take 20 50-yard rolls. I'm trying to get my head around imperial here. 50 yards. We do it in 50 meters. So that's a bit over a mile. And it leaves in 2 days. So artwork team gets it sorted, run it through the printers, run it through finishing, and it's out. So I can't be hunting down stock to print that. I've got to have it just sitting on the shelf. So there will easily be 3 to 5 40-foot shipping containers worth of stock brought in straight off the bat, and then we've got to maintain that. So warehousing for that that's sizable.
Excellent. Yeah, and there's something I wanted to also throw out. We are going to be at Select USA. I don't know what communities are on here that'll be at Select USA. I'm trying to compare the timing of when you're coming back into the United States to do some of these site visits. But it's a really good opportunity. It's a lot of it's basically all foreign direct investment. There'll be 1,500 companies from around the world visiting Washington, D.C. with us and all the communities around the country, just talking about their projects. And it's a great opportunity to shake a lot of hands and meet people. And if we can get Rodney a invite to that, that would be awesome. And maybe we could sit down
When
with
is that?
Crest, if you could throw in there, it is in uh May. I think it's May 11th through the 14th. But I don't I'm my brain can't operate without Crest, I will tell you that.
Okay.
But I'll send you an invite and take a look at it. Tom and I'll be out there. We'll have a lot of great of our elite cities visiting with us. And
I'm flying into Vegas to a trade show on the 22nd of April. I expect to be ordering machines and shipping them, having them shipped to a site that I don't even know as yet. Visiting my big customer in Kentucky.
it's May
Shaking
12th and
hands, kissing
14th.
babies, doing that kind of thing, and then back to visit sites. So
Absolutely.
that following week. So the last week of April is visiting sites.
Yep. I was close. May 12th through the 14th is the
Okay.
date. So I'll send you an invite. Take a look at the show. Might be something you'd find very beneficial.
Okay.
And all right. So we don't have any more questions. This is how we're going to receive our submissions for all of you guys. Go ahead and put in there. We have coaches on our staff that help different areas of the country with their submissions, making sure they're exactly proper and what Rodney's looking for. They'll help review them. You'll go to our portal at gsliprojectportal.com, look up project big print. If you answer yes here, this doesn't mean you're committing to submission. It means put a priority on us. We want to talk to you. We want to find out, or we might have some additional questions, and we want to get a submission in. We'll obviously push our elite cities first, and then as those needs are not or are met, if we find some really good matches outside of that, then we'd love to get your submission in and help build your trust in becoming a part of our elite cities. Great. That deadline for the submission is going to be Friday, April 12th at 5 p.m. Please get it in by then because on April 26th, we gather those submissions. We put them in a nice format for Rodney to review. And then we'll go through those and we'll set up a short list of communities that align with the buildings, the incentive packages, everything that goes together. And and then do some online interviews with those communities, and then we'll plan some site visits. You'll send, if you have any questions, uh, please reach out to Ashley. She's our project director. She had to go because she has another project she's talking to. And I cut her off, and I apologize that she was supposed to talk a little bit on this, and I get too winded sometimes. But she went to talk with that particular project. It's one that we're going to be meeting with out in at Select USA. So any questions, make sure you send them to her. You'll also be getting a recording of this Prospect Live to review when putting together your submission. Here is our contact information. If you have any questions, feel free. Everybody knows me. I'm a 24/7 guy, so email me, text me, send me information, and we'll get your questions answered. Ashley's amazing at putting together all the coordination between the projects and our members. And if you need the address, the easiest address, remember to go find Rodney's project and make the submission is www.attractmorejobs.com. With that said, I want to thank you, the economic developers. We had great participation today. I know how busy you are being stewards of your community and coming out and investing an hour of your time. You're probably run away to a board meeting or a city meeting or doing something right after this. So thank you for coming on board and listening about Rodney's project. And Rodney, can't thank
Yep.
you enough. I know it's early. Maybe you'll get to leave early today, but knowing you, you're probably be working late too. So
Yep.
thank you, and everybody have a great day. And until our next Prospect Live or Jam session, which we hope to see you on, have a great day and continue to keep making a difference for your communities. Take care. Bye, everybody.